Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and whatever holiday you might celebrate out where you are. We are the Master and Apprentice Show. I'm Gary, and...
I'm Jacob. Happy holidays.
Yes. We hope you're having a wonderful time with family, friends, wherever you are, whichever holiday you decide to celebrate. So this is episode 3 of the Master and Apprentice Show, which we had originally planned for Thanksgiving. But dark forces of Darth Malgus' Sith Empire conspired against us, and we didn't get there.
In other words, weather.
The weather was bad, and I was having some trouble with my back, and I have arthritis quite bad. But anyway, so we're doing it here on Christmas Day. So we're going to get right into it. I've got a couple housekeeping items from our last episode. We didn't get any comments about this, but just for my own, self-interest, I wanted to just clean up a couple things. In our last episode, I kept calling Hu Yang Doctor, and it's actually Professor, and I knew that. And I just kept going with it, and you didn't correct me either. So you were
honestly,
you were kind of going along with it too, there, weren't you?
I had no idea. For as old as he is, I just don't know.
I mean, the guy's 25,000 years old. Maybe he holds both titles.
Maybe
in our headcanon, maybe he holds.
He probably holds a lot more titles.
Maybe he holds Professor and Doctor. I mean, like I said, he is 25,000 years old. Another thing I talked about we talked about in the second episode too was. I had mentioned we had just watched episode 3 of Ahsoka, and of course, when you watch these things, or I'm like this anyway, when we watch these things, I watch them and I try to take in as much as I can on my first watching. I end up actually missing a bunch of stuff doing that. And I had said that I thought that the senator next to Mon Mothma in the little hologram where that Hera was talking to that group, that I thought he was Kazuda Xiono's father, Kazuda Xiono from the Resistance animated series. Well, it actually was him because they mentioned him before Hera went in there. Her
said his name right before they saw him. So.
Yes, her second in command said they're ready for you, and then in a much darker, deeper tone says, Senator Xiono.
Yeah, he's...
Because we know what he's like now.
No, exactly.
Excuse me. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to clean up those two things.
It's pretty easy on first watch. To
David Brinkley here. He's got the stuff written down again here. So anyway, so I think we want to go into the Ahsoka wrap up now too. So why don't we do like we've done before? Why don't you give your thoughts? I just like the format that we've been going with. We won't spend a lot of time on this. It's been a couple months since the show ended.
When did it end?
It was in about mid-October, something like that. Yeah. So why don't you go into it there and give us just some general thoughts?
Sure.
You thought.
Firstly, I guess my biggest thought about the show is that it was really fun to watch it. Every Tuesday, I'm a college student, so every Tuesday I would make some time at night to kind of just watch it and help it get me through some of the stressful times. So it was a really good show, and I really loved how it ended. But we have covered up until the episode with Xiono, which I'm not 100% sure what number that was.
That was the third episode.
Third episode.
Time to Fly.
There was 8 in total, I believe, right?
No, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, 8. It was 8.
So
it was 8.
There were 8 total, so we missed 5. But the way that the show progressed, with all of the plot points that moved forward, and all, I mean, there were some pretty contentious debates going on with like who is that Inquisitor-looking character, and we theorized that a little bit on the show. We were thinking, he might be like Starkiller. Everybody was talking about that a little bit, and we'd figure out that he's not that at all, and he's actually just some Night Witch zombie that was made up by Morgan.
That was Elsbeth, awesome reveal,
which was really cool.
That
was something I wasn't expecting at all, and I don't think we had the chance to talk about Anakin Skywalker coming in as a character in this series either.
I want to talk about the world between worlds. You continue on.
Yeah, for sure. That was really cool for me, and I mean, we can start talking about that too.
You want to go into that?
The world between worlds is something I've always wanted to see live action since it came in Rebels. In the first place, a lot of people had some troubles with that kind of thing though, because it's like time travel, and people struggle with time travel and stuff. I've
called it. They're walking the edge.
Yeah,
of time
travel. But they've done a really good job of it. The only thing that they've really done that's like broken the timeline, I guess, it wasn't even in Ahsoka. It was in Rebels when they brought Ahsoka back from dying by the hands of Vader. Yeah. But here in this show, all they did was use it for flashbacks to teach a very valuable lesson for Ahsoka, which was really cool, and it was a really good way to use it without breaking any timelines and going into like a Star Wars multiverse, which I don't really want to see necessarily.
I don't think Star Wars is going.
I don't think that's the path that they'll take either. But I'm glad that they didn't end up doing that, and they went down a path that I think a lot more fans were pretty acceptable with. And from what I saw and from what everybody else saw, Hayden Christensen's performance was absolutely stunning. I loved every scene that he was in. and it really advanced the plot in this, and I think it was a necessary thing to have, for sure. But
yeah, I totally want to jump off on what you said about the World Between Worlds. I was happy to see that live action. That was one of my favorite episode arcs of Rebels.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, anytime Star Wars gets weird, I like it.
Yeah, that's like part of
what
the
does that say
whole
about me?
appeal anyway.
But anyway, yeah, and the fact that, and you brought this up too, the fact that it was used. Well, first of all, it's kind of how we got our flashbacks.
100%.
In quotes, flashbacks in quotes.
I was gonna say, people even since Kenobi were like, "Oh, I want these Clone Wars flashbacks," and even when we got flashbacks in Kenobi, people weren't like, "Oh, well, that wasn't Anakin in the clone armor, so that wasn't what we wanted."
Right.
But we got that this time, and I think this was the perfect time for it.
And
because, I mean,
the fact that it was used is a teaching moment for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I just thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%.
I mean,
props to Dave Filoni and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm here to complete your training.
For doing it. Yeah, that was really cool. Also, the actual armor for Anakin and all of the Clone Wars, like, clone troopers themselves, they were awesome. They were perfectly...
nailed that dead on.
It kind of makes me wonder how much they spent in terms of, like, time and resources to actually make those
and
up.
Money.
Yeah,
I don't know.
100%. But either way, really cool. Glad that they spent some time doing
I guess
that.
I was going to say it's not my money. I guess it is. I subscribe to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I guess it is my money.
At least they're using it for good stuff. We like this stuff. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's
exactly.
good.
So
and then kind of tying some of this to like the ending and the way that they did all that. We got to see Ezra again, which is really cool because I think I can't remember if it was confirmed that we were going to see him or not. I think it was just a bunch of speculation in the first place.
I think it was,
but it was
pretty much
it was inferred because I think the whole point of this series, or what it felt like the whole point of this series in the first place was going to be, was trying to find Ezra after he and Thrawn went wherever. We obviously know where that is now, but we got to see Ezra, which is really cool. Sabine got to reconnect with him and kind of, it felt like Rebels again. It was a really cool drawback, and it felt like live action Rebels, which was really sick.
Some fans were joking online. It's a season 5 of Rebels.
Yeah,
kind of was.
It kind of felt like it.
Kind of was. We had everybody. We didn't get Zeb. We were talking about Zeb in our first episode. Remember, but
saw
he
him
got
in
mentioned.
Mandalorian too, though.
He got mentioned though.
He did.
Zeb got mentioned. He's training. He's training new recruits.
Yep. Which is cool because we got to see that too.
So I think we're going to see him. We're going to see him in future episodes of The Mandalorian.
100%. Yep.
Or whatever.
Maybe in that big culmination movie.
We're going to see everybody in that.
We're
going to see everybody in that. I wouldn't. Here I go on one of my offshoots again. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like Luke Skywalker and all those.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Big,
stuff in the future that's going to tie together.
It's going to be like an Avengers type thing.
That Filoni verse type. Oh yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we also got to see too a lot of the cunning from Thrawn too in this. At least in the final episode of it too, and all that stuff.
Lars Mikkelsen nailed him.
Oh my god, his voice, his like the second I saw him on screen, like during that introduction, that was a grandiose introduction. That was really cool. He nailed everything, which I mean, to be expected. I think he was preparing for it, and he's already had, he was the voice in the first place. So
I like the stormtroopers too. I liked all the different designs they had for
Captain
the helmets.
Enoch or whatever his name was.
That was a nutty looking helmet he had. That reminded me, there was a movie years ago called, I'm going to forget the name of it now. Shoot. I can't think of the name of it now. It was a sci-fi movie from years ago. Logan's Run. It reminded me of a character from Logan's Run. There was like this robot character that they ran into. It's been years since I've seen that movie. I can't remember.
It was weird. His faceplate, it looked like...
strange.
Yeah, his faceplate, it looked like it was Egyptian, but he had like... It felt like his voice was like cybernetic or something. I don't know. I hope if we do get a season 2, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the future, but I hope we get to see more of that kind of stuff, and we get to see what happened really to Thrawn, because he actually ended up being able to get to Dathomir, which is exactly where he wanted to go. And Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, well, not Ezra, he actually made it to the Rebel fleet, which is really, really cool. But Ahsoka and Sabine are stuck on this, planet that
now they're the ones stuck there.
Yeah, they're completely stuck.
Yeah, now they're the ones stuck there in Ezra's home.
Yeah, exactly. Which is hopefully good, because Ezra will hopefully tell them about everything, and maybe not so much where they are, because I don't even know if Ezra knew where he was in the first place. But hopefully that'll work out, and they'll be able to find them, and it won't be so hard. But they also got to see Anakin Skywalker at the end as a Force ghost, so we're hoping that some more guidance will come out of that.
We saw all forms of Anakin.
Yeah.
We saw him as World Between Worlds come back from the dead.
Yep.
We've seen him as a hologram.
Yep.
And we saw him as Force Ghost.
Yep.
We got all three phases of the guy,
which is really cool. So Hayden Christensen really really got his screen time.
Nailed
that's for
it
sure.
Again. I think he's going to be back.
I'm not complaining about that.
He's going to be back. He's back now to where he enjoys doing it.
100%.
Yeah, the prequels now have gotten
very much so.
Getting some love now finally, and whatnot, and so those guys are more than happy to come back and play these characters again. Whereas maybe 15 years ago they might not have wanted to.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But one thing I speculated on our last show was the docking ring. Or the hyperspace
docking ring.
Yeah, and I said, I looked like you could dock a Star Destroyer in there, and then I kind of walked back on it. Well, guess what?
That's exactly what they did.
That's exactly what they did.
And it wasn't just no regular Star Destroyer. It was Thrawn's.
It was Thrawn's Star Destroyer.
There's a name for it, but I can't remember it.
I don't get these things right very often, so I'm taking a victory lap on this one.
No kidding.
Baby, let me tell you. So there you go. Now he knows. He's seen the prop. Now he knows. Now he
left
knows
me in the dark
about
it,
me.
but...
Yeah, I'm a car racing fan, so I got a set of these flags.
Yeah.
So I brought the checkered one down, so I could do my little victory lap here on Thrawn's Star Destroyer getting docked. So
Very cool.
that was awesome. So the thing does have docking clamps. And
very cool.
They did dock a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the first couple plot points of this entire series were just trying to get the hyperdrive to get that thing connected anyway. And
right.
A bunch of, that's cool too about this series is a lot of it was just a big build-up, but it all made sense at the end, right? There was a lot of things that were questions, but... they all got revealed.
Well, as we said last time, Dave Filoni always brings it around. He knows what he's doing. Yeah.
He's a good storyteller. He left with a lot of cliffhangers, so I'm really excited about that. But kind of going off of that, too, I wanted to talk a little bit about Dave Filoni's promotion. Yeah, so he got promoted about a month ago or so here to Chief Creative Officer. Now, the way he described this, I don't have the article obviously up right in front of me, but... he said that a lot of times he comes into a project when it's a lot of the pre-production work is already done. I'm sure he comes up with the ideas, but then other people do that. This sounds like he's going to really see the stuff from the beginning. Oh yeah.
With being in there with even the pre-production work and the designs and so forth. So how do you feel about this and what it means for the future?
Yeah, I'm really glad that he has more creative liberty to do what he wants because Dave Filoni has been one of the people that has really made Star Wars, in my opinion, pop off since a lot of the streaming stuff has really happened. And I mean, even some of his work with the Clone Wars too, and all of that stuff is the Star Wars that I like to watch. So the fact that he's getting more liberty to make changes himself and he's getting more creative freedom, that's amazing to me. I'm really interested to see what he'll do with this with this newfound authority to see what projects he'll create. So yeah, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I am too. I think the only thing I'm concerned about is I think he's on an upward trajectory here at LucasFilm. I think the thing I'm concerned about is, after a while you're going to get promoted up to a point where maybe you're not so much in touch. But I think he's smart enough. He'll put the right people in place. If he gets to, let's say he takes Kathleen Kennedy's position someday.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think he's smart enough. He's going to put people who think like him. You know.
And I feel like a lot of people recently have been putting Kathleen Kennedy in the fire a little bit because with some of her involvement with the sequels.
She hasn't done that bad of a job.
No, it's been pretty good.
There's been missteps. But she hasn't been horrible.
Yeah, of course. But I'm really excited to see what this new, I guess, power that he has. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it seems like he's going to see more of the process from start to finish.
Oh, for sure.
Just the little bit I've read about it. So anyway. So we want to talk about, maybe we could have done this earlier, but Season 2, we might get a Season 2 of Ahsoka. That hasn't been confirmed.
Yeah.
We're talking about it, but what do you think might happen there? And you had some thoughts offline about this, too.
I'm thinking they almost have to. With all the cliffhangers that they gave us for, with Thrawn going to Dathomir. I want to see Dathomir live action.
Get live action.
That's going to be so cool. Just they left us in so many positions right now where I want to be able to see all these things in live action. And if Dave Filoni is to actually use some of that power that he's about to get to make his movie, he's going to have to do more groundwork with I think a series here before he can really get everything to culminate into one big project. Anyways, so I feel like Ahsoka Season 2 makes a lot of sense for him and for the plots that he's established within the time. So I'm really hoping that's the case. And then one of the other things I wanted to talk about was Ray Stevenson. Unfortunately, with his passing, he didn't get to see the final product of the stuff that he made. I mean, he didn't get to see the fan response and how beloved his character was. Because everybody loved
Balin Skull was his name, yeah.
Everybody loved his character.
Yep.
I don't think I met a single person that said I didn't like it. So
Yeah,
it's really upsetting, and that's, of course, unfortunate. But, with the ending of this project, we got to see, his character moving into really, like, the realm of, like, the father, the son, and the daughter, like, the Mortis gods, and there's a lot of interesting plot points that can be made with that, but without him being around, I guess the question becomes if that's going to even be able to happen. And one of the things I talked to him about offline is potentially them doing some sort of animation and making his story more of an offshoot instead of connecting it with the rest of Ahsoka's content, but still being able to give his character some light and some love, because I know a lot of people would love to see that.
Right.
I think that's a possibility. Dave Filoni and those other content creators are not shy from doing animation, and I think people would watch it. So I think it could be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the only thing about doing animated, it might be a little bit of jarring to some fans to go from, even maybe a single character getting their story continued in animation versus live action. Yeah. I feel like they're probably going to recast it. They could still do his story as an animated offshoot, like you said.
Oh, 100%.
But then they
have
can
a lot of
still
liberty
recast
to
him
make
for live action. Right, yeah. So it's going to be interesting. In the end, that last scene of that last episode, he had to correct me on this. I didn't realize that was the world between, or not the world between worlds, but I didn't realize that was the Mortis. It was like the light there at the top of the Mortis.
In the distance from where Balin was looking, there was
what that was.
There was this light or some crystal off in the distance, and it's very reminiscent of the crystal or light that we saw in the Clone Wars arc for the Mortis gods. So just some connections there too, and then obviously the connections with the big statues. It's pretty hard
He is the master. I am the apprentice.
Only sometimes.
Only sometimes.
But yeah, so that'd be really interesting. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with that. All I can hope is that they do his character justice in the future, and that they do Ray Stevenson some justice too.
And I hope they do something with that, because I'm just going to tell you right now, that's probably not only my favorite story arc of the Clone Wars, that is probably my favorite story arc in all of Star Wars.
Oh, for sure.
Is the Mortis.
Brings about some like origin story, and it's it brings into the idea of the balance of everything. It's not all just a bunch of free flowing stuff. There's stuff holding that in place.
That's a great story arc.
Yeah, I loved it a lot.
I love it.
It also hinted a lot at Anakin turning to the dark side, which was really cool, and it kind of brought everything together in my opinion. But yeah, I agree.
Well, it exists between space and time, so those people could see the future too. And that sort of thing.
Definitely a fan, so I'm curious to see what they'll do.
Yeah. Okay.
Very excited.
All right. I think the next thing we wanted to dive into here was so there were some labor strikes in Hollywood with the writers and the actors, and those have gotten settled, but everything's pushed back.
Yes.
We were supposed to probably have gotten Skeleton Crew by now.
Yeah.
And
I think we even
theorized.
I was gonna say, I think we even theorized that we were gonna have it by now. I think in our last show we were thinking we might even have something to break down for this episode about it, or
we got nothing.
We got nothing. So
we don't even have a trailer.
Yeah.
So I came up with. I didn't read anything solid about this. I came up with a little thought the other day here as I was making up these show notes. One group of people that weren't involved with the strikes were the animators. I wonder if it's possible their contract runs through the middle of next year.
It might.
I wonder if it's possible we're going to have this final season of Bad Batch. Might be the first
thing, and so we get. Yep.
Now I don't know where they were as far as the writing and the voice actors go when it comes to that show.
Yeah.
If they were not quite into their part of the project.
At that point, it would have been very hard for the animators to do their job if the writers hadn't done everything beforehand. So
that's it. You got to at least have the writers. You got to have the scripts at least ready to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to animate when you got a blank slate.
So I don't know where we don't know where they're at on any of these projects.
Yeah. I have no idea what's coming next. I have no idea. All I know is that these things are coming. It is confirmed that we will have a Bad Batch season 3.
We're getting Bad Batch season 3. We're getting Mandalorian season 4.
Yeah.
We're getting...
But the timeline is so shaky.
Supposedly.
But to be fair, the writers' strikes have messed up just about every project that I can think of.
Not just Star Wars.
So, but,
everything.
A good note on this is that they're over, and that
now
we're progressing towards some sort of changes, and we'll eventually get these projects. But big thing about it is just trying to develop some sort of patience here and just wait for it, and hopefully everything works out. But it's good that they're getting what they want.
So okay. Awesome. So we'll see what happens with all that, and This is going to be a short show, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But until we get something new, we'll talk about something new. Well, that's the thing.
If we had something for, Skeleton Crew or Bad Batch or something else, we'd have a little bit longer show for you today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to close out with, we got a trivia question for you.
Heck yeah.
Would you like to do a trivia question with me?
Go right for it.
All right. Are you familiar with the TV sitcom Cheers?
Ooh, I'm aware of it, but I'm not like super. I'm not a super expert or anything.
Because I theorized when we talked last week that you were going to get this. Now I'm not sure.
Maybe. We'll see.
So 3 actors from Cheers have appeared in Star Wars. I'm going to name 2, and you have to name the 3rd.
Ooh, I'm bad with actors. I'm probably not going to get this one, but we'll see.
So Woody Harrelson obviously played. I had to look at the Tobias Beckett in Solo. Rhea Perlman is the voice of Sid in Bad Batch.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Crap! I should. Well, you might not get it anyway. Who's the third Cheers actor who's been in Star Wars?
Man, I'm already stumped. I don't even know.
You don't know?
No, not very sure.
John Ratzenberger, who played Cliff Clavin, the mailman.
No way.
He's in The Empire Strikes Back. His character's name is Major Bren Derlin. And he's the guy that tells Princess Leia that the shield doors have to. He's got 2 little bits. He says the shield doors have to be closed when Han goes out to look for Luke. They're out there in the storm. Night is falling on Hoth. And then his other little bit in The Empire Strikes Back is when they're getting ready to evacuate Echo Base, Leia gives a little briefing to the X-Wing pilots of what they need to do, to escort the freighters and the larger ships out of there. And after she gives her briefing, wishes them luck, he steps in and he says something to the effect of, "Okay, to your stations, let's go." He's that guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. John Ratzenberger.
A couple small little roles, but
before he was Cliff Clavin, the know-it-all mailman.
Very cool.
Cheers. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
By the way, we're in front of a live studio audience today. You guys want to hoop it up for us? Woo! Yeah! Because we're inside. So.
Hey, I got a question.
Oh, ask a question. Wait, we were going to have you as a guest, too, weren't we?
I didn't shower.
Oh,
you didn't shower? Well,
it's Christmas. Nobody showers.
We were going to have you as a guest, though. Do you want to step in
Nobody
here?
can smell it out in there.
Well, I didn't. I don't have any makeup, and I didn't comb my hair.
Well, neither do we.
Well, I'll get
over here and
I'll
get
just
in our.
go in the middle.
Try to get in our show.
All right.
Hop right in.
This is my niece, Denise Levac.
She's my mom.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Jacob's mom. How are you? Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for coming on the show.
Christmas.
Yeah.
My question to you was. Was Star Wars affected by the writer's strike?
Well, yes, because we did a whole segment on that.
Well, I would have known.
Yeah.
If you've been paying attention.
I was busy cooking.
I think the reason why I want to have you on, so this is the young lady who I told the story in our first episode. She saw Star Wars with my sister Diane and I when she was 2 years old.
That's right.
She fell asleep during the Death Star trench run. Now, I'm not going to take credit for your fandom, because you wouldn't have remembered something from when you were 2 years old. How did you get into Star Wars?
Jacob.
It was through Jacob. That's kind of what I figured you were going to say.
Yeah.
Tell everyone out there about your Jeep.
I have a Jeep with Grogu. It's green, and it's got a Grogu license plate.
She's got Grogu everything on this thing.
It's got Yoda all over.
Yeah.
Gets quite the attention.
Yeah, what's your license plate? Well, maybe
Grogu.
Maybe we shouldn't give your license plate number.
Yeah.
Well, it's a version of Grogu.
In the back of the Jeep, well, near the back of the Jeep,
It says,
that Jeep has gotten a couple kills because there's some tally marks on the things it's taken down. I think there's like 5 or 6 TIE fighters she's destroyed with this Jeep.
Only one Vader.
No
Maybe,
kidding.
Yeah, only one Vader.
So you've got a tally on the back of that thing.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
So she's retconning things. Luke didn't get Vader or anything. She did. So watch out, people. She's big. She's a heavy hitter. So but
come to the Jeep side.
very much. So
absolutely. Okay. Hey,
Sweet.
thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Our first guest on the Master and Apprentice Show.
Sorry, I will get more done.
Next is Mark Hamill. I'm kidding. But
we'll
see.
We're gonna have Harrison Ford next time.
Yeah.
That's right. So
awesome.
Oh, you know what? I do have something else to talk about. Did you see the interview that Adam Driver did?
I don't think
with Rich Eisen. So Rich Eisen is mostly does football reporting, but he was on Rich Eisen's show here recently, and they got into the Star Wars discussion and his experiences on the sequel trilogy. He said something very interesting, and I mean, we've admitted I like the sequel trilogy quite a bit.
Yeah.
My poor brother-in-law has some allergies going on here, but anyway. You know, I mean, I like the sequels quite a lot, but we admit that there's problems there.
Of course.
And he kind of let on that they completely changed Kylo Ren's storyline, in the middle of filming The Rise of Skywalker. He there was not supposed to be a redemption arc for him.
I think Daisy Ridley said something a while ago, like before this too. She's mentioned some things about them changing the story quite frequently, but I think some of that has to do with the directors changing a little bit. I mean, because what was it? Who was the first director? But then it changed to Ryan Johnson was the second director.
Ryan Johnson did The Last Jedi.
So
quite frankly, controversial, but I think he did the best job out of the three of them, honestly.
them changing directors has changed the direction of the sequels a lot, and I think the actors have been very transparent about the story shifting here and there, which is good, because if anything, they should be transparent about that kind of thing.
I agree. I agree.
But despite all that, I think they did a decent job.
If there's ever a tell-all book that comes out about that, I'm buying it. Because
for sure.
I know that there was problems there that just probably shouldn't have happened. And when I started the show, I said we weren't going to say anything negative. Can I go against that? I think J.J. Abrams is overrated.
No, probably.
I really do. I don't understand why people are... The studios out there in Hollywood are so high on him. I enjoyed The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker well enough. But they're my two least favorite of the three. The Last Jedi is out of the sequel. The Last Jedi is actually my third favorite of all the movies.
Yeah, and then when
that's
you compare,
one of my go-tos. I love that movie.
And then when you compare it to like the OT and the prequels, it doesn't even come close, in my opinion.
Well, no, it doesn't.
So it's interesting, but everybody has their opinions about the sequels. I think at the moment they're just about as divisive as when the prequels were released. So we'll see if they gain some traction in the future.
Well, the kids that grew up with it, that's what happened with the prequels. Like the kids your age now are the ones.
That's what I grew up on. I don't have like virtually anything bad to say about the prequels, except for maybe some of the corny lines, like "I hate sand." I mean, that's pretty corny. But despite the point, I think it's funny, and I think the movies did a good job of what they were trying to do. So I don't mind it. So
I think the younger people who grew up with the sequels too, they're gonna, when they get old enough, they're going to be the podcasters. They're going to be the people doing shows like this.
Yeah,
and they're going to explain to, and like I said, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the sequels, but I think there's some things that need to be explained. Mm-hmm. Maybe those people are going to, explain some things in their podcast and their
and who knows, maybe
YouTube
Dave
shows.
Filoni with his new role will take on that role of explaining some things a little better. For
I think
us,
he's doing that. We talked about that in one of our shows too. I think these shows like Mandalorian are going to explain. I think some of the cloning stuff. Why they wanted
there'll be some newfound appreciation.
I think that's going to lead to how Palpatine came back.
Yeah,
and all that
stuff. The only explanation won't be somehow he returned. So
somehow
that's all I'm going to say. But
yeah, I didn't have as big a problem with that. That movie had a lot to wrap up, though. Really,
for sure.
I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm bashing J.J. Abrams, I guess, but he had a lot to wrap up too. I see both sides of it
for sure.
All right, hey,
cool.
I think we want to wrap it up, huh?
Sounds good to me.
We're going to try to do another one, maybe during your spring break. Hopefully, we'll get together, or some weekend when you're free.
Yep.
We'll do another one. Maybe before next summer. Yep. We'll have an announcement, though. You got some summer plans, but we'll announce that in our next show. We won't talk about that yet.
Yep.
We'll announce that in our next show.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds good.
Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever holiday you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate any of them. Hope you had a great day with your family and friends.
Merry whatever and
happy go away, which is what the sign in the Lisa's house says. Yeah, with the Grinch. Yeah. You're the mean one, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, folks.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching.